Thanks. I guess the first thing people want to know is how the recovery's going.
Yeah, it's alright. It's not too bad. Hopefully, we'll be back. I'm hoping for Saturday, but I'll see how training goes tonight. See what they say, and hopefully see what happens.
So just over the halfway point of the season now, we sit in second despite having a few weeks off from playing. Are you pleased with the position at this time?
Obviously, yeah, we can't say that we're not. Who would have thought this time last year we'd be second in this league, you know? So it's been a great start and a great performance really to be where we are for the small squad we've got.
But obviously, it's the highest the club's been since it reformed, so that's one bonus. But obviously, with the team that we've got out there now, you could, if we had this from the start of the season, you could easily look at promotion.
We've done really well so far. We set our target at the start of the season, which was playoffs, and we had a good run. I think it was 11 games that we had unbeaten, and since then we've just tried to kick on. We've had a couple of blips here and there, but we're starting to get back on track now.
Yeah, we're looking at the fixtures. I mean, I think that this next period, maybe the next month, 2 months, I think on the balance of it, the games are probably more winnable than the ones towards the end of the season where they'll be a bit tougher. I mean, we've got Dartford here and a couple of the teams, and we've got Oxford, away. So they'll be tougher games, but I think, you know, if we've been consistent this year, and if we continue to play how we have done on balance and over sort of a set of games as opposed to picking out fixtures individually, then I don't see why we can't be at least in the playoffs.
The position we're in at the moment, obviously, everyone seems to be losing to each other. So you look at teams like Ebbsfleet, they've lost a couple of games lately, and Sutton, who are on a good run, and then you look at Dartford, we're on a good run, now they're struggling again. So you sort of have to take each week as it comes with the way that the results are going. But 10 weeks time, I think we could quite comfortably, easily be in the playoffs.
And we're obviously frustrated at the minute because the games seem to be stop-start at the minute, so it's all to do with training and looking after the boys and trying to organise friendlies so we can keep match fitness going. So it's a bit frustrating at the minute.
I mean, we played quite a few friendlies on Tuesday nights to keep us ticking over, so I don't feel we're less sharp than we should be, but yeah, personally I prefer to play most weeks, and it saves sort of the longer journeys on a Tuesday night, which obviously form tends to be less of a factor, I think, in those ones.
Obviously, you can look at that from both the playing side and the coaching side. How frustrating is it when you go with, I mean, obviously between Bath and Concord, 21 days, so obviously it's got to have an impact, hasn't it, that length of time?
It does. I mean, it's not easy and it's not ideal, you know. It's when you get in a good vein of form, you want every game to come thick and fast because obviously results are doing well, you know.
It's not ideal. Obviously, you're missing weeks. You lose. Obviously, you lose a bit of form. You lose momentum. Obviously, we was on a good run, so we didn't really want that to stop.
On the flip side, if you're not having a decent run of games, sometimes a break seems to galvanise you and freshens you up. So it's one that we have to manage. The players have to manage it as well, on and off the field.
From my point of view, it's been helpful because I've had training, which means I can get extra treatment, extra fitness. Gives me more time to recover, but it's taken longer than was expected. But hopefully it's nearly there.
And just try and just be patient, and when we do go out eventually, to make sure we start definitely in a vein of form where we, for me personally, we didn't really get going on our last home game, you know, against Concord.
That must be, you know, extremely frustrating to. I mean, you're not a player that wants to watch from the sidelines. You're someone that wants to be. Yeah. You know, we saw that when you came on in your first substitute appearances. There was no holding back. You were 100 miles an hour as usual.
I don't think I can do anything not 100 miles an hour. So I struggle with that, but. It's disappointing. Obviously, I was up for so long. People always say, "Oh, you expect a niggle, or you expect a tight muscle." And to begin with, I was fine. But obviously, I played too many games too quickly, which is what we've worked it out to be, and that's been the downfall. So it is disappointing, but it doesn't feel. It's been nearly 7 weeks, I think now, but it doesn't feel. Considering to the last one, it feels like just a couple of weeks. But
played Gosport earlier in the season. It was a 0-0 draw, and that. Kicked off that 11-game unbeaten run, didn't it? So what are you expecting from Saturday's fixture?
It should be a good game. That was sort of the game that started, as you said, the 11-game run, and yeah, we played some very good football in that game. I think that's when we started to hit a real good standard of performance, and hopefully we can repeat that this Saturday.
That was probably our best away performance. You know, without winning the game, we did everything but win the game, and we were totally in control of it. We had good scout reports, and it pretty much nailed everything on what we expected from them. So they are, like I say, they're in a bit of momentum because they're playing week in, week out, and we're not.
We have got a few injury concerns, and people have been ill this week, so there might be forced changes, unfortunately. But we've still got a good depth of squad, and we're confident that we can go out and put a good performance on and get the 3 points, hopefully.
I think we've been playing the last couple of months. I don't think there's any team we should particularly fear. So yeah, as long as we play probably how we have done the last 4 or 5 games, yeah, I'd expect us to win.
Yeah, I mean, they're on a good run. We got the report yesterday from their game at Havant. They've got a striker that scored a lot of goals as well, so it's going to be tough. Any game in this level has been tough this year, you know, to get the 3 points. You've got to outwork the opposition, and thankfully we've done that in the majority of games that we've played. And if we do that tomorrow, hopefully that'll be sufficient to get the points.
And we just got to look after ourselves and try and get ourselves in a position to keep the momentum going and keep in that playoff spot. We don't want to obviously fall by the wayside now. We've went too far. We've put a lot of hard work, and the fans have travelled far and wide, you know, to let it slip now. Me personally, and obviously Jay and Jamie won't allow the boys to get into that mindset. We've just got to keep them hungry and keen and mean, and ready for the challenge for 16-game season in my book. So that's what we've got to do.
Yeah, I mean, our results recently, although say recently we haven't had so many games, but you know, it's been a little bit up and down of late, and it's now time to put another consistent run together of performances and results, and hopefully that will put us in good stead for the end of the season in a playoff position.
To be fair though, to come back now would be ideal, because obviously March has gone from 4 matches to 7, so there's a lot of games going to be coming up. So if you are ready and raring for action, it would be a great time to welcome you back to the fold.
It would, yeah. Obviously, give some of the other boys that obviously have been playing quite a few games a break, and what makes Jay's job hard, he's got more people to pick from. But yeah, I'd love to be back as soon as possible. And
you mentioned the long journeys. Obviously, there's 2 in Oxford and Western-super-Mare coming up in March. So again, from when you are a semi-pro footballer, it is difficult, isn't it, to get the time off work, to do the travelling in one day, etc.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I start work at 7, so to get away and then obviously get back the next day is quite difficult. And to be honest as well, with the support, it's a lot harder for the fans to get down there on Tuesday night. So yeah, all in all, it's not ideal, but I suppose if you want to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, you have to sort of go to those places on those nights and get results.
Had the National Cup in the week. Obviously didn't work out as we hoped it might do, but from an experience point of view, how good was it to be involved in that National Cup competition up to the quarter-final stage?
Yeah, it was brilliant. We played some strong teams along the way, and we beat them. So we went into the quarter-finals quite confident, especially as we've beaten them before. But obviously the results didn't go our way. But yeah, it was a good experience all round.
I think for both teams to get in the quarter-finals of a National Cup is a fantastic achievement, especially for the first years in squad 2 to get that far. The majority of players that we played against Kidderminster were third years. They had 120 kids to choose from, the strongest squad, and we give a real good account of ourselves. It was 1-0 up, 1-0, 2-1 up, 3-3-all. So we had the lead 3 times in the game, and it was just disappointing that in the end we just fell short of getting through. And same for the first squad. I found it was unfortunate to get knocked out in the last minute. But for 2 teams to actually get that far, I think it's a great achievement. It's good for the club, and it's just a shame that one didn't progress into the semi-finals.
Archie, yourself, first season with the club. How have you found that?
Well, I think it's been a good experience for me recently with the National Cup and that, and being with the boys day in day out was just good, really. Going through a good experience, so I'm enjoying it.
And earlier in the season, of course, you were here on the FA Cup match.
Yeah.
Played the last few minutes of that game. How is that still? Will that still be among the highlights of the season for you?
Yeah, obviously it still goes through my head, but that's it's in the back of my mind now. I've got to move on, hopefully progress further on. So,
And Tom, in terms of the academy, there's a couple of teams coming down for friendlies, notably Colchester and Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity for everyone. Obviously they've been looking at Will in particular, but it gives us an opportunity to play well and hopefully catch the eye as well in them games.
And obviously this is your last year with the academy. What are you planning to do post summer 2016?
Well, I'm hoping to maybe do a third year here and do the new personal training course that's been offered.
Are you, as a coaching setup now, looking at positions 2 to 4, ideally, 2 to 5? You ideally want to be second or for the home advantage, perhaps. But do you now see that first as being out of the way, or are you one of those that until it's mathematically impossible, you'll go for it anyway?
You obviously got to try and keep the pressure on, and try and keep FC keen and looking over the shoulder. But we've just got to look after ourselves and not get too far ahead. We just got to basically cement our place in that playoff position, and if we can do that with 4, 5, 6 games to go the season, you never know. It's whether they get edgy or we could maybe go for that last 5 games. But obviously Sutton and the other teams in and around it, Oxford's, Truro, they're all doing well, and obviously we've got Whitehawks. Obviously they've had a bit of a stumble of late, but obviously we know what kind of squad they've got. We could easily come back firing, so it's all to play for, and it makes for a good end of the season in my view.
Your former club Dartford, they're hot on the heels of one of those playoff places as well, so it could make it quite a tasty end to the season.
Yeah, they had a really good few months now. They didn't start off too well, but they've started picking up points recently, and they are starting to catch up to the few playoff spots that there are.
Now you're one of the longest serving in the squad at the moment. Is it still as injuries aside? You're still loving it, still enjoying being part of the Leeds and roller coaster?
Yeah, I think it's nearly 7. It'll be 7 years in the summer, so it's been a while. But yeah, obviously seeing, I think me and Millsy sometimes look back at when we was playing at Sittingbourne or Ashford, and you look back at some of the players that used to play for the club and where we are now. It's sort of it's like a roller coaster. Obviously, each year you lose fans' favourites, you get new ones in. So things have changed, but obviously I'm still enjoying it. So hopefully it stays that way.
Speaking of characters in the dressing room, you brought 3 in just before Christmas. How do you think they've settled in, and what do you think they've added to the squad?
I just think they give us a new lease of life. They're fresh, they're quick. We've got obviously Vass and Charles have done really well, and obviously Sweens is a good character in there. He's only young, but he seems to have settled in. So yeah, it was the unknown. Obviously from the levels they've come from. Is it a gamble? Well, any signing is a gamble in my view. You could sign one from a league above who doesn't quite cut it or thinks he's better than this level. So these guys want to go and try and progress throughout the league. So for me, and obviously we identified that these guys could add a little bit something different to what we already got in the squad. Obviously we've lost Brownie and Franny.
You're obviously sad to see everyone go. Obviously I speak to Brownie and Franny quite a lot outside of football. I play golf with Franny, so I still keep in contact, but obviously it's gutting to see them go. Obviously with the team we had last year, a winning team, you always want to keep together, but if people lose their places to others, and sometimes that happens in football, and obviously the amount of players that have been and gone at this club since I've been here, you sort of get used to it after a while.
And wish them all the best and everything going forward with Leatherhead, but obviously times and clubs move on, and that's just the way it is. It's football. It's not personal. It's just football.
Well, you joined us over the summer. How have you enjoyed that time so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, I think we've done really well, considering there has been sort of quite a big change around in personnel, sort of at the start of the season and throughout. So it was a great group of lads when I started, and it obviously changed a little bit. And the boys and playing with us are still good fun. The start's really good. I'm enjoying training, and it makes a big change playing in front of a decent crowd at home every week. So yeah, it's all good. It helps with winning.
In terms of the defensive lineup, of course, you were joined by Callum Davies just before Christmas. How's Callum setting into that back four mix?
I think he's settling in really well. He's starting to get a bit fitter, which is something he struggled with to start with. He'd be the first to put his hands up and say that he wasn't quite fit when he arrived. But he's really starting to settle in well now. He's settled in well in the change room, and he's a really good player to have in the team.
a lot of managers and people within coaching setup say, look, we look at one game at a time, and I don't know whether you subscribe to that view as well, but you must have had a glance at March where that literally was Saturday to Saturday with the Easter Monday, and has now been bumped up to about 7 or 8 fixtures. So that will be a key 4 weeks, won't it, in the season?
I think March generally is, in any games of football, right around the country, and it's pivotal, whether you're in a playoffs or trying to get into the playoffs, or if you're going for the title, or you're trying to chase, you need to try and get on a good run of form if you're in the playoffs to go into the playoffs. Sometimes you can go on a bad run leading into the playoffs, and obviously the momentum sort of stalled.
I think we need to more concentrate on our fixtures. I mean, teams have games in hand, and I suppose you would rather have the points on the board, and it's nice to look at, but in terms of what we want to do and how we need to do it, I think we just need to concentrate on our games.
So we need to just keep doing what we're doing. We keep picking up points. I think we're 4 or 5 games now unbeaten, so we can go another 4 or 5. We've got a difficult run of fixtures, granted, but I believe, and obviously the manager believes, that we've got the right amount, the right squad, the right characters in the dressing room to try and go through that and get as many points on the board as we can.